On a November night in Greenville, South Carolina, the ordinary quiet of a budget motel was broken by the sound of shattering glass. A corridor of numbered doors, familiar to traveling families and short-stay guests, suddenly became the stage for one of the city's most shocking tragedies. In the middle of that hallway was a young father, 22-year-old David Marquise Edens Jr. By the time deputies responded to the 911 call, it was already too late. He had lost his life inside one of the small rooms at a Motel 6 along Wade Hampton Boulevard. What would drive someone to break through the glass of strangers' rooms, move down a motel corridor, and end the life of a man whose friends described him as lively, funny, and determined to be the best father he could be? That question is the center of this story, and it is a story that left a family grieving through the holidays, children without parents, and a community searching for accountability. David Edens Jr. was only 22 years old when his life was cut short. He grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, and by all accounts he was the kind of young man who carried a sense of humor and loyalty that drew people to him. On his social media pages, friends remembered him as someone who made them laugh, someone who tried to lighten heavy situations. He had dreams of pursuing creative work. Some said he aspired to music and art, and above all, he was a father who tried to be present in the lives of his children.
What the fuck is this, sir? What the fuck?
David had 2 kids, and although his relationship with one of the mothers, Kodesha Bryson, was strained, he remained committed to co-parenting. He was not wealthy, not famous, not insulated from the struggles of young adulthood in America. But he was alive, hopeful, and trying to create stability for his kids. That makes what happened in November of 2019 even harder to accept. On the night of November 19, 2019, deputies were dispatched to the Motel 6 at 2015 Wade Hampton Boulevard in Greenville County. The initial call came in as a possible burglary. Motel staff or witnesses had reported suspicious behavior. A woman breaking windows along the 3rd floor of the building, seemingly looking for someone. When deputies arrived at around 10:35 p.m., they discovered a shattered window outside of one of the rooms. Inside that room, they found David Edens Jr. He had been shot. He was pronounced dead at the scene by the county coroner's office, which estimated the time of death as roughly the same as the time of dispatch. Witnesses later told reporters that they had heard a woman screaming loudly that night. Others said they hadn't noticed anything unusual until law enforcement cars filled the parking lot. What no one could deny was that the broken glass on the ground and the young man lying inside the room marked a moment from which his family could never recover. The investigation moved quickly. Detectives identified a person of interest, 25-year-old Kodesha Bryson, the mother of one of David's children. According to investigators, Bryson had gone to the Motel 6 searching for David. Along the way, she broke windows in at least one other room before arriving at his. Inside the room, an altercation took place, and during that altercation, David was shot. Bryson did not remain at the scene. Deputies named her publicly as the suspect, and by the next morning, she turned herself in to law enforcement. The arrest was announced in a sheriff's office release. Bryson was charged with murder, possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, and malicious damage in relation to the broken windows. She was booked into the Greenville County Detention Center, and just a day later, she faced a bond hearing. The bond hearing provided a rare public glimpse into the immediate aftermath of the crime. Bryson appeared before the judge, shackled, eyes swollen from tears, and addressed the family of David Edens Jr. through sobs. She delivered an apology, words that the family received but could not easily accept. The judge denied her bond, citing the severity of the charges. For David's family, The hearing was not just about legal process. It was about facing the person accused of taking their loved one from them, hearing her apology, and knowing that it would never bring him back. One of the family members, speaking to reporters outside, said they wanted to know why. Why now? Why in this way? Why so close to the holidays when the children needed their father? The heartbreak was visible, the anger restrained but palpable. The family described David as a good father, a good son, and someone who did not deserve to have his life ended in that manner.
And we're following a developing story this afternoon. Kodesha Bryson, there she is, locked up at this hour. The sheriff's office says she shot and killed her ex-boyfriend last night at this Motel 6 on Wade Hampton Boulevard in Greenville. The sheriff's office says after the shooting, though, Bryson turned herself in, and she did have a bond hearing today.
Fox Carolina's Jennifer Phillips joins us live at the Greenville County Jail with what happened inside today when she faced family.
Hey, Victoria. Bryson is locked up here at the Greenville County Jail, and a judge told her that she would have to face a circuit court judge, so she denied bond because of the severity of the murder charge in this case. Now, we are told that she did say give an apology, as you heard, and we also talked to David Eden's father about his son and this homicide. The sound of breaking glass followed by gunshots woke many who slept at the Motel 6 in Greenville County.
My sister called me and was crying and told me something had happened to my son. She called back and said he had been shot.
David Edens Sr. says now his son is gone.
He got 2 sons and a daughter.
Investigators say Kodesha Bryson broke motel windows in search of David Edens Jr. And when she found him, she shot and killed him.
They just didn't do right together.
He says the two used to be in a relationship and have a daughter.
He's a good father and everything. He's a good dude.
During a bond hearing, Bryson apologized to the Edens family.
Mary, I'm sorry, Alicia. Nisha, I love y'all. I'm sorry that went my attention. The gun went off. I would never try to hurt him. He's a great daddy. I'm sorry, Mary.
David Edens Jr.'s cousin, Marquise Baldwin, says it's tough just to be in court.
She apologized, but at the same time, you had time to think.
She says her family is strong, but they're still very upset.
I just want to know why did she kill him? He left his family behind, left his kids behind.
And even though David Edens Sr. wants justice, he says no one wins.
I'm sorry for her too, because she got other kids, and it's all about the kids right now. He gone. He pretty much gone now.
Along with that murder charge, Bryson is also charged with possession of a weapon during a violent crime, as well as malicious damage. Cody and Victoria.
Jen, thanks so much. As we learn more about this homicide, of course, we'll update you here on air and inside our Fox Carolina News app.
This case underscores the devastating intersection of domestic relationships and violence. Law enforcement confirmed that David and Kodesha had been in a relationship and that they shared a child together. That detail transforms the case from a random motel shooting into a tragedy rooted in a domestic dispute. Statistics in the United States show that intimate partner violence is one of the most common contexts for homicides involving women as offenders. But each statistic is a lived story, and in Greenville in 2019, it was the story of a young mother of 3 children and a young father of 2, one of whom they shared. The ripple effect was immediate. 2 children left without their father, and at least 1 child left without both parents present, since the mother was now incarcerated. For the community, it was a painful reminder that behind closed doors, toxic relationships and unresolved conflicts can escalate into irreversible violence. The motel setting also raised questions. Why did it happen there? What could have been done? Witnesses reported hearing glass breaking and screams. Windows were smashed before the fatal confrontation. Yet the timeline between those disturbances and the deputies' arrival left little chance to intervene. Still, the imagery is haunting. A woman moving down a motel corridor, breaking windows, looking for the man inside. Other guests behind closed doors hearing noises but not fully realizing what was unfolding. A young father confronted in his room and shot before he could escape. For those who lived in the motel, it was a terrifying glimpse into the vulnerability of shared spaces. For David's family, it was a nightmare that confirmed their worst fears. At this point, you might be asking, what happened after the bond hearing? Was there a trial? Was there a plea deal? Was there a sentencing? And this is where the story grows quieter in the public record. While the arrest, the charges, and the bond hearing were covered by multiple local news outlets, later proceedings were not given the same level of media attention. As of this recording, major outlets have not provided a clear update on the final disposition of the case, whether Bryson stood trial, accepted a plea, or was sentenced. For some, that lack of follow-up creates confusion. But this is the reality of many local cases. Unless there is a sensational verdict or an unusual turn, coverage fades. That does not mean the process has stopped. It simply means the public must seek records themselves. In Greenville County, the 13th Judicial Circuit Public Index is the official way to check the status of criminal cases. By searching a defendant's name, the public can see the docket entries, hearing dates, and final judgments if available. It is not always easy to interpret, but it is there. And in cases like this, where media silence leaves families and communities wondering, these official records are the key to accountability. For viewers, this case illustrates the importance of not relying solely on headlines, but learning how to access public information directly. Every date, every docket note, every order filed, those are the breadcrumbs that tell the true story of what the justice system does after the cameras leave. For David's family, however, the justice process, whether concluded or ongoing, does not erase the loss. They spoke publicly after the bond hearing about the pain of losing a son during the holidays, about the children who would now grow up without their father, and about the questions that could never be fully answered. Their grief is what lingers most. For those who knew David personally, he was remembered as a person full of humor, someone who was trying to better himself, and above all, someone who cared about his kids. For those who only learned of him after his death, he became a name in a headline, an image on the news, a story that reflects the devastating impact of domestic violence. But for his family, his absence is daily, and their call for justice is ongoing.
A woman accused of killing the father of her child inside a Greenville motel last night has been denied bond.
Investigators say she knocked out windows of other rooms looking for the victim. 7 News reporter Kimberly Brown has been following the story, and she has all the details.
We are in front of the Greenville County Detention Center where Kodesha Bryson is now behind bars, accused of killing her baby's father. Now a family is planning a funeral before they plan their holidays.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Michaela, I'm sorry.
Kodesha Bryson gave a tearful apology to the victim's family during Wednesday's bond hearing, an apology the family says they find hard to receive.
And the question is why? You had time to think?
Bryson is accused of shooting and killing 22-year-old Wade Edens Jr. Investigators got the call to come to the Motel 6 in the 2000 block of Wade Hampton Boulevard around 10 o'clock last night.
She had gone over to Motel 6 searching for him, busted out at least one other window to one of the motel rooms until finally reaching the one that he was in, busted out that window.
Deputies say 25-year-old Bryson shot Edens during an altercation. Those who called the motel home say they're pretty shook up.
It was just scary. I just went in my room.
Now with the holidays drawing near, Edens' family says things won't be the same without him.
I mean, he left his family behind, left his kids behind. I mean, her daughter has the mother's in jail now. The dad is gone. He has a son. I mean, the question is why? You had time to think. You went looking for him.
The victim's family tells us that Bryson and Edens have a child together, but they are no longer a couple. Now the father is gone and the mother is behind bars. The child will spend the holidays with family members. Reporting from Greenville, Kimberly Brown, 7 News.
Bryson is charged with murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and malicious damage.
The tragedy of November 19, 2019 cannot be undone. But the way we tell it matters. We can tell it by focusing only on the crime scene, the broken glass, the sirens, and the charges. Or we can tell it as a reminder of the lives at stake, the children left behind, and the importance of verified, document-based reporting. The story of Wade Edens Jr. deserves to be told with precision and respect. He was not just a victim. He was a father, a son, and a young man whose future was stolen in a moment of violence. Kodesha Bryson, the woman accused of taking that future away, is not just a name on a docket either. She is a person whose choices left 3 children without their mother's freedom. The consequences ripple out endlessly beyond the corridors of a motel into the lives of families and the heart of a community. What we can say with certainty is this: on that November night, a series of decisions turned toxic conflict into tragedy. The motel glass was shattered, the room was breached, and a life was ended. The following morning, a woman turned herself in. The court denied her bond. The family wept. The records remain. The lessons are painful but essential. Domestic violence can escalate without warning. Public records are tools for accountability. And every name in a headline is a person whose story is deeper than a crime report. The question that still lingers for many is the same one voiced by David's family outside the courtroom. Why? Why did it have to end this way? Why did conflict turn to a gunshot? Why did children have to lose both parents at once? Those questions may never be fully answered, but remembering the story, telling it accurately, and learning from it is the least we can do. If you've watched this far, remember this: every statistic you hear about domestic violence, every headline you see about a motel crime or a young father gone too soon, has faces behind it. Tonight, the face is David Marquise Edens Jr. He was 22. He was a father. He was trying. His life was ended inside a small motel room, but his story reaches far beyond those walls. Our role is to remember, to reflect, and to ensure that the lessons are not lost. For those who need help, for those living in fear of toxic or abusive relationships, resources are available. National hotlines, local support groups, shelters, they exist, and reaching out can save lives. For those watching who want accountability, the tools exist too: court indexes, public records, official documents. Justice is not only something we wait to read in the news, it's something we can follow ourselves, step by step. The shattered glass on a motel floor in Greenville told one story. The children without their father tell another. The docket entries in a courthouse computer tell a third. Together, they form the reality of a case that should never be forgotten. David Edens Jr. is gone, but his story should remind us of the stakes. This is not just about crime. It is about lives, choices, and consequences. It is about what happens when warning signs are ignored and when personal conflicts turn violent. And it is about the responsibility of all of us, as storytellers, as community members, and as people, to tell these stories with accuracy, respect, and urgency. May David's memory be a blessing to his family, and may his story be a call to action for all of us.